Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tech Talk Thursday. The week is flying by, and yet we're here for another live show, of course. Now, today we have a very special guest. We have Katherine Wakefield, who is joining us all the way from the US. And Katherine specializes in creating courses for WordPress and WordPress plugins, which we're going to be talking to her all about website design, course creation, and content, and all that lovely techie stuff. And I see that we've got Valerie in the house as well. So hi, Valerie. Thanks for joining us today. And as ever, we have Mr. McKenna. Hello, Martin. Welcome. How have you been? It's been a long time, at least 2 days since our last show.
Yeah, two whole days, yeah.
So how's life in sunny Edinburgh?
It's been snowing in Edinburgh, and it's cold, and it's not very nice. And it should be spring by now, but it doesn't. Nobody's told Edinburgh it's meant to be spring. That's the problem.
You've got a few weeks to go yet, right?
Hey ho, a few weeks to go, and we're waiting for the clocks to change, which will totally mess up all of our show times, presumably, because we'll be sending out invites, and then we'll be 1 hour in the wrong direction at the wrong time, when different parts of the world change their clocks at different times.
Always messes me up.
We have that conundrum to look forward to, don't we?
Wonderful. Well, Valerie's in the house, and she's saying she was so excited to see Katherine here. So, Katherine, you have a fan already, which is fantastic. So, what are we going to be talking about today, Martin? We're going to be talking about workflows, course creation, website stuff.
Yeah, well, we kind of sprung this onto Katherine because I knew Katherine through Ecamm, and we're going to be creating some training material, including video content, very soon. So I thought, well, there's Katherine. We can ask her lots of questions because she's already done it all. So we can ask her questions about content creation in terms of video content and her workflows and some stuff about screen captures and things like that. Questions that are hot on our lips today.
Great. Well, without further ado, if Katherine is ready, give me a thumbs up in the green room and we are good to go to bring Katherine on. So let's bring on our guest today, Katherine Wakefield. Hello.
Hello.
Very nice for you to join us. Thank you so much. All the way from the US, and it's midday for you, right? So we're encroaching in your lunchtime, I guess.
That's all right. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
No problem. Well, for people who don't know you and what you do, maybe you could just give a little intro about who you are, what you do, and tell us all about your tech stuff.
Well, I was born and raised here in South Carolina, and I, at the age of about 11, I got my hands on a computer. And it wasn't until probably when I was in my 20s that the natural geek came out in me, and I started teaching older adults computer skills and providing IT support in their home. And then I delved into web development as well, teaching myself HTML and CSS and building web pages, angle bracket for angle bracket, typing all of that code out. And I would say about 7 or 8 years ago, Elementor for WordPress, I dove into WordPress for a while and was learning how to build themes and web pages through WordPress. And then this wonderful thing called Elementor came along, and I didn't have to write code anymore. And so I've just jumped in with both feet with Elementor and enjoyed it. Because there's so much in Elementor that a lot of the plugins that are out there that do separate individual things, it's kind of all baked into Elementor, and you don't have to have but 4 or 5 plugins instead of 10 or 12. So I've really enjoyed Elementor and WordPress for quite some time.
Cool. Oh, there you go. Just a little glitch there. I think I have to flip this when you're speaking, and then you'll come straight into the active speaker role. But not to worry. So I dabbled once with WordPress and found it really difficult to navigate because, one, I'm not a coder, and two, there's, as you mentioned, there were a ton of plugins just to be able to get something working, and you can download all the different ones and then you have to test them and make sure they work. So what you're saying with Elementor is it takes care of all that sort of heavy lifting and finding all those plugins, and a lot of it's built in, so you can concentrate on building the wireframing and making sure that the website looks good and all the functionality is working. So that takes a lot of the hassle away from coding, I guess, from what you're saying.
Yes, it really does. I mean, if you do know a little bit of the CSS language for making overrides and very customizable changes, it's helpful, but there's enough inside of the application that you can make some overrides yourself.
So when you were teaching people or getting them to be your students and for them to learn more about IT, what were the main sort of products you were working with and helping them on? Is it just mainly sort of IT support as in Windows PCs, or do you do Windows and Mac, or were you playing with other software as well to help people out?
Yeah, in the beginning it was just Windows. It was back in the day with CD-ROM drives, and they'd get one stuck in there, and I'd bring my handy dandy paper clip and just stick it in the hole and pop it out and charge them $20 and be on my merry way. But yeah, it was a lot of Windows, installing printers, helping them with email and installing software. And through the years, I literally have changed my business name from the Home Computer Tutor. That was for a lot of years, and then the internet got prolific, and the internet was in other things like televisions. And so I changed my name to the Home Gadget Guru because I was helping people with YouTube TV and Hulu devices and Chromecasts and, the printer. Still, people just don't understand how a printer connects. And so over, I would say, the past 7 or 8 years, people have been phasing to Mac because it's easier, but some people just don't want to give up the Windows.
Right. And we have Lux here as well. So Lux from Streamalive has mentioned that the WordPress engine saga has been so much in the news these days. Is that right? I'm not aware of that. What's all that about? Maybe you can shed some light on that, Katherine.
Yeah, I'll try to be as polite as I can. So
you don't have to be polite.
Oh no, you don't. We don't care.
Requirement on this show.
It's not as if it's live or recording it or anything. You go ahead.
You'll see.
There's kind of a little man battle between WordPress and WP Engine. The gentleman who runs WordPress has a for-profit and a non-profit, and it just seems like he felt like WP Engine wasn't providing enough money for supporting the WordPress community, because most plugin and software developers for WordPress plugins and themes and stuff do donate to the WordPress organization to keep it viable and free for everybody. And there just wasn't enough seemingly cash flow coming from WP Engine. And so there's been a back and forth of ugliness between the both of them, of taking a plugin down, literally scraping it, WordPress making it their own and relabeling it as if it was more secure than the original product. So there was a lot of lines crossed by WordPress, I feel, that, and WP Engine was kind of in the crosshairs, and they've been, the lawsuits going back and forth, WP Engine trying to hold their own, and the owner of WordPress just having a attitude problem. That's just the way I see it. So a lot of people were worried about the WordPress community, but I think that it'll settle itself out, and hopefully nothing bad will come between both parties, and things will hopefully smooth out.
It seems a little bit like, imagine OBS, for example, which is open source, and all the people that are making the plugins, and then somebody like Stream Elements who does a sort of a skinned version of OBS. I think it's Stream Elements, somebody like that, and they take that and imagine taking all their plugins and making them their own. And it's a little bit naughty, because the whole point of open source is it's free, and it's important for people to help with the development and things, and not having a closed shop. So that is interesting. I never knew anything about that. So thanks for thanks for enlightening us. And as Valerie said, don't be polite. just spill the beans, basically, is what she's saying. So there you go. Spill the tea. Sorry, spill the tea. We don't want to spill the tea.
That was my kind version.
That's okay. Thank you for being polite, and that's fine. And we can get the uncensored version off camera, but that's okay. I'll have to dig in now and find out what's going on. So today, I guess, as Martin said, we know that you develop courses for a living as well. You have your YouTube channel, and you provide lots of support to the community with regards to building out your website. So, as Martin said, we're in the middle of doing something similar as well. Both of us have done recordings and created not courses per se, but tutorial videos and things like that on our respective channels, both for Ecamm and for other things. But we're really interested in really sort of getting to grips with what you do and what you use. So Martin, I know you had a couple of questions to kick off with, so why don't you start the ball rolling for Katherine?
Yeah.
And we'll take notes.
I guess really generically, what is your workflow? I know a lot of people create their courses on the likes of Kajabi and things like that. For Neil and myself, I think that's a sledgehammer to crack a nut, because we're not having loads and loads of courses, and we're not drip feeding the material out or anything like that. It will be a fairly concise course. It may be a bunch of modules, but effectively it's just a bunch of videos in a row. So it's nothing too complicated. But what do you use for your creation of content, and what's your workflow?
So I do use Ecamm to record. I do some special things with the Stream Deck. And once I do my recording in Ecamm, I'll either take it one of two places. I'll either, because I'm not a really good on-camera person, and there are a lot of ums and ahs and blank spaces. So I'll take it into Discord, and I'm not Discord, Descript. They sound alike, don't they?
Yep.
So I'll take it into Descript, and I'll cut out all that stuff, let the AI do it real quickly. And then usually I just slap an end screen, pre-recorded, a thumbnail, and shove it up to YouTube real quick. To edit it other times when I need to, add things and highlight things on the screen, I will take it into, yep, I'm gonna have to look at my screen. Hold on just a second. It's called ScreenFlow. And I'll take it into ScreenFlow and highlight areas, blur things if I definitely have a privacy thing and I'm showing a login screen or something like that. I'll have to blur private information, and ScreenFlow really helps with that. Outside of that, I do some lives. I used to do them in Facebook, where it was the easy way to do it, and to YouTube doing lives where I do chats and build it live. And but for courses and tutorials, it is a building editing process from Ecamm, either through Descript or, oh God, I have to look at it again.
ScreenFlow.
Yeah, that's just how the fly. ScreenFlow, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of those two things, and just put it up to YouTube with a thumbnail image. Cool.
I think a lot of people use ScreenFlow. I know some people that we've worked with recently and spoken to use ScreenFlow. It's been around for a very long time. I think I remember playing with it some time ago, but it's a good workflow. And I don't know about you, Martin, but in terms of when you're creating material, I find it quite difficult to be able to do things in one take. And I don't mean one take by making a mistake and re-recording it. I mean just going end to end without having to take the product that I've created, the tutorial that I've created, and then doing some editing post-production. Because I think you can do a lot in Ecamm, but I think if you do want to get those zooms in, you want to blur some stuff for privacy, you want to highlight certain areas, I think it's much nicer to have it done in another product, either ScreenFlow or something else that I use, or Final Cut or whatever it might be, to edit, than it is just to do it all. But I don't know what your feeling is on that, because obviously we're going to be making some material ourselves with courses, and I'm definitely going to just not do it straight in Ecamm. I am going to have to take it out and do some other things.
Yeah, I think, I was looking at another tool called Clean Shot X, which is another screen capture tool, but it's less sophisticated than Screen Flow. But for my purposes, I actually think it's probably better that it's simpler, because I will actually do my editing effectively in Ecamm. I will go end to end live, so I won't do anything other than, well, I'll hardly do anything post live recording. But that's probably because I'm just now so familiar with Ecamm that I am more than happy to bring in different elements, talk all over it. I don't mind if I get it wrong a little bit. That's just part of the character, and therefore makes the course more personable to some degree, because they know that you don't mind making the odd error. For me, that works as a flow, because I can't stand going over things 20 times and to try and get it absolutely perfect. I'd rather just, we'll go for it and get it down. But for me, what that then means is, what I will do potentially is record a bit of stuff using Clean Shot, where I am showing LinkedIn and where to log in and what buttons to press on Restream or whatever. I'll then bring that as a pre-recorded animation with no sound on into Ecamm, and then I will do the voiceover in Ecamm and potentially move the screen about a bit and zoom it in and out a little bit, and at that point maybe be adding in Pro Mouse or something like that to highlight different areas, or bringing in, I like to actually now just use a shape which is an ellipse, which is semi-transparent, and I just move the ellipse around the screen to where I want it to be, rather than use Pro Mouse, which I find a little bit on the distracting side. If you can see, the mouse going around all over the place, and then people highlighting things and then highlighting. Well, it seems easier to me to just grab a shape and then move it over the bit I want to talk about. Then I'll talk about that bit and then get rid of the shape. So it's kind of about that as a workflow, and then I can probably just send it to Neil and he can add in chapter number 1 or whatever. But the way we're proposing to do it is, both myself and Neil will use the same Ecamm profile. So we'll have the same scene layout and the same screen flow for us to do our recordings, and we'll do them individually, where I'm doing stuff on design and maybe Neil's doing stuff on cameras and audio and things like that. So those will be the separate chapters. But then we'll have a scene where we'll record it separately, but both of us are on the scene, and we'll talk about what's coming next, and it'll be next up's Martin. But then behind the scenes, that's just the next video in the sequence, and that'll allow us to record the different components separately, and then just come together to record all the linked elements, if you want to call them that. So that's the idea. So I think I understand how you put the course together. How do you then deliver those courses to people, and how do you potentially take payment and ensure that the content is secure and people can't just send it out to all of their friends or something like that, or resell it or something like that?
Yeah, I actually, you and I are in this, or both of you are in the same position I am. I'm right at the cusp of, I've been recording and putting tutorials on my YouTube channel, and I have not yet pulled the trigger myself to which platform I'm going to use in order to put content behind a paywall in order for people to purchase a course. I've thought a lot about it, and I've literally been a year and a half in the, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Kajabi is like way off in the distance. Kajabi is a really great platform. However, this is what I would have to say personally. because I've tested Kajabi, and you definitely have to have an email list. You definitely already have to have either customers or people on a subscribe list ready and waiting and drooling to get to your content, because I feel that, I love you, Kajabi, but you're pricey. But it's
Yeah.
everything baked into one. You get your newsletters, you get your, email campaigns, you get the website, you get the ability to put all your tutorials and organize them together and put extra content in there. It is a one-stop shop. I will say that it is, I would say, the cream of the crop of where you want to get to, but sometimes I'm not there yet because I got nobody knocking on the door for me. So it's a matter of trying to find something, lower than that just literally hosts my videos, and then just kind of like use a Stripe payment through some other ways of means to get payment to customers to get to the content and go through the content. So I haven't really dove into it a whole lot to make a choice as of yet. So I'm right there with you, waiting to find the platform. And when it comes to getting people scraping your content and securely, I know, is it Vimeo or some video platform that does not Vimeo. It is Vimeo.
It's
I
Vimeo
think
that has something.
Vimeo it is.
Yeah, that secures it, and so it's not scrapable. And they may have a platform as well. But in this day and age, scraping is just what 15-year-old kids do. So I mean, it's just it's going to be out there at some point in time. So you just kind of have to, not assume, but just know that may or may not happen. So
yes,
in the day of age of AI, they can do all kinds of stuff. So just we have to have faith in the trust of people who actually want to pay for our product and use it truthfully.
Yeah. So we ought to have a couple of shout outs then, really. Now we've almost made this for ourselves. So Adrian Salisbury, if anybody wants to know about Kajabi, go see Adrian Salisbury. He's got a great Kajabi course. You can actually get it for free, but Adrian then takes a commission from Kajabi. So if you've already got Kajabi, well, you're stuffed. But if you haven't got Kajabi, then you can use Adrian's affiliate link and take the course for free, and it will be an excellent course. And he uses it for all of his courses, of which there are many, and they're very complicated. So he does a lot of that. A couple of shows ago, Neil and I had a gentleman on called John Bellingham, who is based in just outside of Glasgow, and he is an expert on Content Kit, or Kit as it is.
ConvertKit as it was called.
Yeah, no, it's called ConvertKit.
ConvertKit, no, it's Kit.
I get all the names wrong.
It is very confusing. They all sound the same.
Yeah, they all sound the same. But we were asking him exactly the same questions, and essentially with ConvertKit, what you can actually do is link directly to Stripe, and you can get them to purchase your content. And what you do is you load your content up to Vimeo, actually is the preferred platform, and then they can give your user access to that content. So that's the kind of route that we think we'll be going down, because literally we just want people to, in fact the way we're looking at it is we want people to download a lead magnet, which will be a list of equipment for going live on LinkedIn, and once they've downloaded that, we'll send them a sequence of emails with helpful hints and tips. But alongside that, there will be a link to the ability to purchase a $50 course on doing it. If they don't want to sit there and read all the material, then they can just look at some videos of me and Neil showing them how to do all this stuff. And then there'll be a list of other potential courses that they can register interest in. Now, the other courses we haven't developed because we'll wait and see who says what. And, oh, green screen, right? Okay, I can do one of those. If 20 people have registered an interest, then that's the one we'll go and do. If nobody has, then what it means is we won't be developing courses that people don't want. So that's the kind of workflow we've come to at the moment. Is that right, Neil?
Yeah,
I think that's as far as
that's
I've got.
right. Yeah, I mean, so it's like anything else, right? I've been looking at sort of other people and how they're doing courses and why they're doing them, whether you do a course with some form of sort of live workshop as well, a little bit of a cohort. There's lots of sort of pros and cons for both. And I think the best way at the moment is to maybe do a hybrid model where you have a lead magnet, as we said, to at least get some interest, find if there's a market for what we're trying to sell to people. Because we think we've identified a problem, and that's what it's all about, right? You identify a problem, you fix a problem for somebody, and they will come back to you, and then you can work with them on other things. And it's not just one problem people have, it's a multitude of issues all relating to maybe that one thing that you've just fixed. So that's a really good way to start. So, but to generate interest, you've got to tease them with something, give them something for free, and then potentially look at selling them something as well once you've got their email addresses. And there's lots of different tools out there, as we spoke about which way to capture those emails. And then after that, it's register your interest for any other potential courses, as Martin said. So it's great to have a landing page and a register your interest, because that creates a little bit of exclusivity. It's like, oh, I'll be on the wait list for this course that potentially may or may not happen. And then you can work out whether, as Martin said, if there is an interest or not. So I think for us, we're just testing the water, whether there's a market for this or not. Maybe we'll pivot to do something else. And we'll probably end up maybe doing some sort of live session as well to maybe help people with a bit more, because I think that works well for people where you've got a course and now you might want to answer some questions, and it's not always easy. Once you've got the course, people may have more questions to ask. So I don't know whether that's something you're thinking about doing as well, Katherine, is once you've established which platform to host the course on and get payment, it's then are you going to go and dig in and maybe do a monthly session with people to say, here's a roundup, maybe there's some questions that haven't been answered by the course material, and what are the next steps, and what do you want to learn next, and something like that.
Yeah, I have noticed that you think that when you've made a tutorial that you've covered all the bases, but I found that even older adults and middle-aged people have some things that are just not clear for them, and they just need to ask questions. So when and if I get my platform and class up and running, I will have like an extra fee. Like they can buy the course, but if they actually want one-on-one time or a cohort, they can pay an extra, like my time with them, to answer questions. Maybe that's once or twice in a 2-week period, sort of like Adrian does, just to answer questions to get through, because somebody may get stuck and like they're totally confused on a point that somebody else gets clearly. So yeah, I think it is helpful to have that customer support to help them through a trouble spot.
I mean, if you look at Ecamm, for example, so myself and Martin have done various different types of tutorials, free videos, pushed into Ecamm, whatever it might be. Ecamm has got a very large community, as you know, because you're part of that. The Facebook group is where people can ask questions and so on. There's probably about 150 videos out there. Alec Johnson has got a completely free Ecamm masterclass. Adrian runs his Ecamm Academy every year. There's so many resources out there. Yet, newbies will ask the same questions. The same questions keep coming up all the time. How do I do X? How do I do Y? And part of the Facebook group that I am, I try and answer some of those questions, and I try and answer a lot of the questions by posting videos that other people have done to say this is how it's done. And I think, and I'm maybe speaking out of turn here, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's our show, we can say what we want. People are genuinely lazy when it comes to learning things. They inevitably don't want to sit through an 8-hour video to learn something. Some people learn in many different ways. Some people love sitting down and working through a workshop, which is online, and at their own pace. Some people love being taught one-to-one, and I don't want to be in a group. Some people just love to dabble with the software and then say, I just need to know one thing, please tell me about it, and that's it. So I think it's a mixed bag of people that we're going to be coming across during the time that we're doing these courses. And I think we're going to have to adapt to this hybrid model whereby, as you said, if you want to pay for my time, here's an hour of my consultancy. I'll sit with you one-to-one and walk you through it, but it's going to cost you this. Or you can join a cohort, get a group together where other people learn from others. We'll see how it goes. But I know just from experience looking at what's going on with Ecamm and other software, you're always going to get the same questions, and people just want the answer. They want it now, and they want to get in and get out. And they might not want to know the whole product, right? I mean, look at Microsoft Word, all these other products that we've learned and used over the years. Use 20% of the features because maybe you only need one function to get over what you need to do to use that software. We have a ton of comments coming in as well, so maybe I can just pause for those real quick, just on some of your points, Katherine, that you've mentioned. All right, so Valerie says there are so many platforms out there these days that there's no one-stop shop. And there isn't. There's a ton to choose from, and I think you have to just work out what works for you, both from a cost perspective and from a workflow. We've got Robin in here as well. Hi, Robin. Thanks for joining us again. So I know Robin uses Kajabi, and I think she went through Adrian's course in order to learn Kajabi. So, and she uses that for her business. And as she said, it's powerful but very challenging. And we have a comment from Lux, which I don't fully understand, but you need to listen, especially from a minute 19 onwards. Great insights course for Creator Platform. Okay, I will take a look at that. Valerie says that she's building her course community as well, modeling it like Adrian is doing. Let me bring that comment up. So what are you using, Valerie, for your course? Are you using Kajabi? Are you using something else? Because if it's similar to Adrian, then I guess Adrian's exclusively on Kajabi, similar to Alec, right? They're both using Kajabi as the workflow. Is that right, Martin? I think they're both using Kajabi.
Yes. So Alec has changed back and forth a little bit. I
think. Really? Okay.
So, yeah, he's moving back and forth. So
okay.
I'm not quite sure where he's heading at the moment.
Because Kajabi is quite expensive, and and as Luke says, in a world of being interpersonal and getting commoditized, experience is even more key, of course. But obviously, he's biased. That's great. So interesting. Different people have many different opinions about these courses, but let us know when you find out how you're going to host these. And are you considering doing a cohort maybe, or getting a class together where you do maybe once a month where people can pay for that and have a limited number of seats so people can just join you and then you can just flash out some of the questions? I have a question about that as well. Is that your plan potentially to do that?
Yeah, I would say that from my experience on wanting to do a course, I feel that once you get your course recorded, whether it's 100% or not, at least have something to put into a platform. I would say that would definitely get the ball rolling and getting you more encouragement to continue to finish the course and then move on to the marketing part of it, because it's kind of like, how can you market something when you don't have any content for it? So right. I would say the major part for me that was stopping me from getting to Kajabi was just do the content. So I would say that's number one.
Yes.
To have your content at least 80 to 90% done before you put it into whatever platform you choose.
Right.
That brings me on to an interesting question, because something that I know that both Alec and Adrian have problems with, and we're about to get it again. There's going to be a new release of Ecamm coming out fairly soon. We're up to beta 4 at the moment. They normally maybe about 5 betas, and then the main release comes out, and then they'll have to go and recreate a whole bunch of their content because the product has changed. And I know in particular for Adrian, it drives him up the wall that he's got 100 videos to go and redo now because the interface has changed. There's an extra 2 or 3 boxes and some tick boxes that weren't there before, and the preferences have changed, and so on and so forth. How do you feel in terms of the content that you're doing? How evergreen is the content that you're doing, or are you likely to be affected by, big changes in operating systems or something else going on behind the scenes? What's the potential impact for you doing your courses?
Yeah, Elementor likes to change their stuff almost on a daily basis. So the interface changes. In fact, there are 2 interfaces within Elementor itself. So I usually stay current. So whatever new thing they've put in there, I will say ahead of time, Elementor has made changes to this user interface. I'm using this right now because it's current. And I may just quickly say, here's what you may be looking at. So you need to go into the settings and make this change so that you're working along with me in this user interface. So I kind of make that clear, what version I'm working on in the software, because features will come in and things will change. And even if sometimes I don't remember, but I will say, I am using the most current version, this version. Things may look different from what you're with. You might want to update your software if you can. Otherwise, I'm going to continue with this version. I usually stay up to date, and I usually make tutorials just on that particular version or that thing that they've updated so that they can possibly, make them want to upgrade to this new feature to keep people updated with the software. So I usually just pay attention to the latest thing so that they, are using the latest version to get the better features. So I will point out, if your screen looks like this, you might want to update. So
yeah, it's a good point.
I've thought about that in my content creation, whereas it would be difficult to keep all of that stuff there, but maybe organize it in a way, put it in a folder that states the version that was at the time of recording, and then put a new folder that says, here's the new version. Somehow in the content, make that clear, either in the video or separate it out to know that people are looking at 2 different things.
There's no easy answer, is there, really, I think, when software updates. And it is a problem, because people are then looking and saying, well, that doesn't look like my software. Why is it different? But I guess if they haven't materially changed the functionality, you could probably get away with it if it's just reskinning or if the UI looks a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Some challenges we have then, Martin, potentially with with other things in the future.
Well, that's one of the reasons where we said some of the content that we've got, we feel we can do videos on, and they will be pretty much evergreen. Whereas other content, it's actually easier for Neil and I to sit in front of a group of people and just talk about the latest stuff that's going on. So we will be aware of the latest stuff that's going on, but you don't always have time to then go and record content on it, because then something will have changed in between. So the operating system's upgraded, or Ecamm's upgraded, or something else is upgraded, a Keynote, new version of Keynote's come out, or whatever else it happens to be. There's lots of moving parts, and to some degree we felt that would lend itself better to having workshops. So as an example of that, really, if now you go and Google how do I go live on LinkedIn, you will get all sorts of things coming out about how to go live on LinkedIn, and 99% of them are out of date, because LinkedIn keep changing the way that you can go live on LinkedIn. So over the past 2 years, it's gone from you had to fill in a form and be approved, and then maybe you'd get to be a content creator in their content creator pack, and then it moved on to there was slightly easier ways to do it, and you needed to tick a bunch of boxes and then wait for approval, and then you may or may not get approval, and they didn't really tell you about that. Then it moved on to, oh well, most people have got this ability to go live, but you need to go and tick a bunch of options within LinkedIn under your profile. And now, today, it's changed again, and you don't have to do that. It's all there for you. But it's to check it, you go to a completely random place on LinkedIn that's not at all obvious to be able to find that information. And also in between, they've removed a couple of things that were there before. So if you Google and go and look for it, you'll be totally lost, because unfortunately YouTube keeps everything forever, unlike Facebook that's about to get rid of everything after 30 days. But YouTube keeps everything forever, which means that you're going to see the stuff, and a lot of it actually is, LinkedIn themselves, videos from them that are still hanging about, which are completely wrong. So yeah, things change all the time, so it is difficult to keep up with pre-recorded content that's meant to be current.
Yes.
So yeah, challenge for all of us, I think.
Definitely.
And I guess that's something for us as the creators to either put in the notes or the descriptions to say either the time of recording, the version number of the software we're using, to help our viewers know, like even in the title, July 2025 version of this.
Yes.
New updates, so that they know what they're looking at. So if they're scrolling through or searching for a video, oh, that's July, that's too old. Maybe, so that they'll search for 2025 updated whatever software. So that might be for the content creators to do their viewers a service. And I might start doing that myself now.
Yeah, because at least then that you've got a catalogue and it's chronological in terms of what you've done and what you've put out there. And I think what you mentioned before was a great point about just keeping those incremental updates being pumped out and being created as the new updates come, instead of having a complete refresh, unless there's a completely new version, in which case you just basically shelve the old stuff and start again and so on. Right. Valerie did say that, to your comment, Catherine, that she's trying other platforms. But will not Kajabi, but agrees with you that it's best to start creating the content now, because you need content. I mean, there's no platform to put it on. And I think it's really important to own your platform as well. As we've seen, as Martin quite rightly pointed out, the changes recently, yesterday or today with Facebook, where they're not keeping videos older than 30 days now. These are for live streams. So I think it's okay if you post the video, but I think if you do a live stream on a group or a page, because there was some confusion whether it was just related to groups or not, it's actually for both, then they will remove it after 30 days. Somebody flippantly said in one of their groups, have they run out of hard drive space? Well, maybe. They're not Google, are they? So they don't have, all this content available. But with YouTube or any of these platforms, if you don't own it, then it can be removed from you, and people have lost lots of content and valuable information. I know only recently that one of the sites that my wife uses got hacked and took down, and that was a Facebook site. So 4 years of content and support for people who need help has been removed, and they have to start again. There's no recovery of it. Somebody maliciously went in, deleted it, and now here we are again. So it could happen to everybody. So I think it's important for you to own your content and have that on your own website, which brings me on to a tenuous link in a moment, unless Martin has any other questions before I move on to the questions of websites.
Well, what I was going to do at some point, being as we're all Ecamm people, and there is a new version of Ecamm, is show just a couple of different ways that we might think about for presenting content.
Go ahead.
But I don't know whether that follows the question you're about to ask.
No, this is just about websites in general. So let's focus on the content. We're still on the content creation piece yet, and the evergreen content and so on. So if I'll make you full screen, as a guest.
Full guest. Make me full guest.
I'll make you full guest. There you go.
So what I want to do is a couple of things. I'm full guest now. So
Good.
glad to be full guest. So what I just wanted to say was that there's a new version of Ecamm out, and it's got a feature in it called live motion, and that's going to allow us to do things slightly differently than we have done before. So the traditional way of presenting a slide is to have you as a small circle or square in the corner of the slide somewhere, and then you bring on your big slide, something along those lines. So just here I'm going to be doing things slightly differently, using the new Ecamm features called for live motion, which is similar to Keynote's magic move. Now if I move my hand in the wrong direction, in this direction, eventually my hand will disappear off the edge of the screen there, and that's because that's where my camera ends, and I've actually created a sort of dark area at the edge of the screen to make my screen look a bit wider. And then what I can do is I can choose to bring my camera over a little bit using the new live motion and bring in a slide. So this slide has got far too many words on it, so not the best example, but it still looks quite pretty. However, if I did want to make it a bit bigger, then I can also move myself around a bit as well. So I can move to hide behind the scene and bring the slide out a bit bigger. Just because we can appear on screen doesn't mean we should appear on screen all the time, and it's a nice eye break to just be able to take me off the screen for a minute, and then I can go back to my previous scene where I had my slide sitting on it there. So it's just kind of a nice workflow to go through different elements. And I could also, I guess, come back up to this, there's one up here as well, something very similar, but in this particular occasion I've moved myself over, and in the dark area of the screen I'm just bringing on my bullet points, and I'm able to just go through my bullet points, and I can do all of this effectively just in Ecamm. So this is not me bringing in Keynote or anything like that, this is all just Ecamm. But I could also do exactly the same workflow and bring in a screen share overlay or a recording or Keynote, whatever it is I want to, but just pushing me over to one side slightly so that I'm still featuring but much larger on the screen than I would have been previously, but there's still plenty of room to see all of the content. So that's just been enabled by the new version of Ecamm. So I'll just go back to my default scene here and get rid of what's behind the scenes.
I think it's important.
I'm just thinking,
yeah.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, it's just new ways that we've got to do things. So we always see the Zoom call and it's can you see my screen, and then it's all or nothing basically. And those who've got clever have got Ecamm, but then they appear in a little circle in the corner and you can't really see them that well. So this is a kind of a hybrid version of presenting in a different way, and I've already shared my profile for Ecamm with Neil, which means he can have exactly the same sequence of events going on when he records his parts of the videos, assuming he presses the right buttons, obviously.
Well, there's something that Katherine mentioned that I'm going to pick up on in a second relating to Stream Deck because I'm intrigued. But John, thanks for joining us. John had a great point. John basically says that his video content is mostly hosted on Kit, and this is John that we've been talking about, and he's found that the best way to manage changes is to record just short tech sessions under 10 minutes. That way, if something does change, you don't have to do the whole 30-minute course. So something that we should consider as well. So those bite-sized chunks of information is good, and that's what we tried to do with Ecamm, where they had the fundamental series that I tried to create just small pieces, not taking them through the entire workflow because that can take a long time. Just, well, what is this feature for? How do you add a camera? And then next thing is, how do you add overlays? And what's the difference between overlays and scenes? All that type of thing. But there's so many things in this software, you could end up with 30 or 40 chapters, but maybe that's a good way for people to consume these topics, is just in a very small, short space of time, because we know people's attention span is it's next to nothing now. It's like, oh, I've got a notification. I'm going to do something else. So it does get a bit difficult. Just a question for you, Katherine, about something that you mentioned. You said you did some clever stuff on Stream Deck when you were recording. So could you mention what that is, if you can tell us? Is it a trade secret for your Stream Deck workflow? Or because we're always interested in efficiency and how people use Stream Decks. I mean, I have 3 Stream Decks in front of me and a pedal on the floor. So, and you can never have too many buttons. It's only because Martin makes all these scenes and I have to keep pressing all the buttons. I'm just kidding, Martin. It's not that. So, yes. Over to you, Katherine.
What I did for one of my videos is that I had several chapters that I was going to get through. And I think it was like an update, and I was going through different types of updates for the software. I think it was Elementor. And so I wanted to, and I took painstakingly time, and I went to, there's times when my brain works and there's times when my brain doesn't work. Okay. And so what is the piece of software that you can build animations?
Motion, you mean?
Yes, Motion. It's an Adobe product.
Oh, you mean Adobe After Effects, you mean? Or
what's the other one? Yes, After Effects. Thank you. After Effects. And I decided to create these animated titles. And I used the animated titles with a timer and a multifunction button in the Stream Deck. And I probably could not replicate it again because I had to painstakingly make sure that however long the animation was, I had to delay in order for the animation to come in, and delay and switch scenes and all this kind of stuff. But I was very proud of myself for doing it. And I had 6 or 7 of those to go through because I wanted the animation of the title to come through, to hit a button each time I went to a different chapter. It works, but it took a long time. And I did it live, so that was even the better icing on the cake for being able to do it live, and practiced it many times before I went live to get those titles to come in to cover each one of the subjects through that, through the titles and the animation with After Effects.
I do think that makes a big difference, though, adding that extra level of finessing to your videos, and especially if you're taking the time to create these overlays and making sure the timing is correct. And I do think the Stream Deck multifunction button is one of the most underused functions in Stream Deck, and I use them all the time. I have an overlay for you later before we close, which has a multifunction. So it's gonna, and it probably won't work now, I've said this, but it's gonna bring up your website. Then it's gonna post your website link into the description out to the chat, and then it's gonna delay for a little minute, and then it's gonna hide that overlay. So just things like that really help with your workflow and so on, and especially if you're creating courses and things. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it right now, and it might not work, so I'll just press that button. There it goes. Oh, and it disappeared so quickly, but it did post it out. So there you go. That's weird. See? So the delay was like seconds, but it did post it in the chat. So there is your website. Let me just try that again, because that was nonsense. There you go. The delay's too quick. See? I didn't test it. So there you go. That's why it's live, folks, and that's why it can all mess up. But there you go. See, I knew it wouldn't work. Martin's like, if you do this for these courses, I'm not going to work with you ever again. I can see it now. That's fine. It's too much going on. I was just going to, before, I know we're getting close to the hour. Hours go way, way too quickly. But I was going to say, what's the importance, do you think, in this day and age of having an online presence in your website? So I know you deal with websites every day. Lots of people are coming to you to build the websites. Websites aren't going anywhere, particularly when it's your website, you own the content and so on. But what's sort of the value in 2025 of owning and having your own website and a presence online?
It definitely is, it's for contact information, email, phone number, how to reach you. It's your information. What are you about? How long did it take you to get where you are? Getting to know you, getting to know your services, what you can and can't do. I mean, people usually don't say, I can't do this or I can't do that. Some people who are truthful will say that. I know in my, everybody should be able to be honest in what you can and can't do in your services, because we just can't do it all. And I like to tell people, especially in my teaching them computer skills, I can teach you this, that, and thus and so, but when it comes to that, you're going to have to take it to somebody else to, open up the computer and do what it needs to be done to the hardware.
Right.
I'm just a teacher. So, yeah, it's information. It's about you. It's your services. It's how to get contacted, and just a presence so that they can reach out and connect with you.
Cool. Very, very important to have, I think. And obviously, all of us here have a website. But I do have a question for the audience. I'm going to post it up there now. You can only get this working if you're in LinkedIn, YouTube, or my channel, or Martin's channel. But I'll just ask the audience, 1 through to 3, do you have a website? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Or I'm thinking about it. And you can post the 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. I'm going to do it on my chat down here, just for giggles. Just to make sure it all pops in. So let us know if you do. Yes, of course, 100%. Let us know if you do have a website or if you're thinking about it. And if you want to have a website created by Katherine, then you can go to her website. And I've just fixed it now. It was a delay of 1 second. This is how to get to you. And people can get to Katherine on that website. See, it's 5 seconds now instead of 1 second and everything. So we've got 100% of people having a website. And I think it is important, even if it's just a landing page, right? Just to have a basic website and not having something too elaborate. Because at the end of the day, as you said, if it's just a placeholder where people can get in contact with you, look at your services, maybe book a Calendly link with you, maybe pay for some one-to-one time, then yeah, that's definite. So yeah, we've had the results are in. Everybody's got a website on the chat anyway, at least, which is good news. And that's what people should have. And we're in the process of doing something with Kit as well, aren't we, Martin? And creating domains and emails and so on. And what's you use Google Workspace, Katherine, for your email? Or is it just standard Gmail or what email provider do you use? Because we had a few thoughts around what we were going to use when we've settled on Google now.
Yeah, when it comes to a hosting provider, I use a specific hosting provider that allows email on their servers, so that so I give them the domain name email address, but inside on the server, I have it forward to my personal address, which they don't get. So it's forwarded to me,
right? But
yet I respond with a domain name, so I keep privacy. And that's basically the reason why I choose a hosting provider that hosts with email as well, so that I can forward to my personal email address.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, I think both Martin and I now are using Google Workspace. I have my own website, and I moved over because there was a website provider that had email, but it was, in this day and age, it was the most unreliable email I've ever come across. And I'm thinking, look, it's 2024. That was last year when I set this up. And I'm thinking, I can't get reliable delivery of email in 2024. This is ridiculous. So anyway, I just decided Google Workspace is the way forward, because it's Gmail, it's pretty secure. Whatever you think about Google, it's pretty good in terms of its robustness and spam filters and stuff. So yeah, so that's the plan. Well, we are nearly at the top of the hour.
The bad news is I haven't got our email working yet.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll probably need to talk to you about that. That's another thing altogether. We'll figure that out together. We're coming up to the top of the hour.
We're register a call with Katherine.
Yes, exactly. We'll probably register. Just throw in your calendar link, Katherine. We'll figure out what's going on. Any other questions, Martin, for Katherine before we close? Because this has been insightful with regards to content creation. I've had a good time so far.
No, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And it's another very easy hour has gone past. Very relaxed, but I think everybody's learned something and got to talk about different challenges and different solutions. So yeah, that's the way we like things to run.
One more time, 5 seconds, then it's going to go. Boom. That's where you can find Katherine, and it's posted in the chat, and it's also in the description as well. And you are welcome back anytime if we haven't made a complete mess of this. So, yeah, more than welcome. It's been wonderful to have you here, and do appreciate you joining us today. If you want to hang around in the Zoom green room for a few minutes, we'll have a quick chat after we've stopped the live, and I'll flip over to Martin and myself. But Katherine, thank you for your time, and we'll see you very soon.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Wonderful. So, another guest done and dusted, and more content creation we've learned about. It's always a learning curve, I think, and everybody has different approaches, right? Everybody uses different tools, and it's really interesting to understand how people use these tools in their day-to-day workflow and running a business.
Yeah, and I think everybody has slightly different requirements, so it's just interesting to know what the options are out there, even the likes of ScreenFlow and a couple of people using that, and me thinking, well, maybe Screenshot X is a better version for me, for my workflow. And so, yeah, loads of tools with very similar sounding names, which we can continuously get wrong.
Too confusing.
And make up our own new tools that don't actually exist. Just by ScreenFlow.
ScreenFlow, there you go. We can make something up. Could sell a fortune.
We can make something up. So yeah, I think that was really good. And we've got other stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got various different guests joining us at different times. So just today, I think we've confirmed we're going to do a pop-up show in the vertical format next Friday. So that's Friday the 28th of February at 1 p.m. UK time, which is unusual for us, but the reason we're doing that is got a special guest on, Alec Johnson, and he's in Thailand, so this sort of time frame doesn't work at all for him because it's sort of 1 or 2 in the morning. So it'll be 8 p.m. for him next Friday, and we're also going to bring on Fulgens Henry as well, and Fulgens will be joining at 8 a.m. in the morning. So we'll be having lunch. Fulgens having his breakfast, and Alec will be having his dinner and a nap, possibly. So, and we have also projected out in the future a couple of other guests, but I think we're probably keeping those quiet for the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll definitely keep those quiet for now. So there's so next week we will be back on Tuesday with a vertical show. Watch this space, because we don't know what we're doing on it yet, but we will do by the time it goes live on Tuesday. But, you know, it might just be us, but you're always welcome to join, and we will post the Zoom link in the various socials. So if you do want to join as a guest on the vertical show, it's always fun to see what we can do, or should I say what Martin can do in terms of building out these vertical shows and things like that. And that is at, that's Tuesday, so it'll be 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then we're back same time, same channel on Thursday with Tech Talk Thursday, of course. And Valerie is saying, what did she say? Oh, wonderful show today. Oh, thank you so much. I thought you had a comment, but you know, we are bringing on the best folks. We are. We have really nice guests, easy guests for us to talk to, which is wonderful. So we will see you on Tuesday, 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Eastern. Until then, it's goodbye from me in Portugal.
And it's goodbye from me, and thanks, Valerie, for being the mod for today.
Thanks a lot, Valerie. See you soon. Bye.